Buonasera, lads. How are we?
Wow, what a day.
Bit
Yeah,
of an interesting day.
yeah. Surprises all round. I've had a really busy one work-wise as well, so I've just been like treading water, just trying to keep on top of everything in between meetings and stuff. It's been a bit stressful.
Yeah. Plenty to talk about tonight, though.
Yeah.
There was so much kind of started getting messages first thing this morning, and I'm loath to admit it, but the Daily Mail was the first one to pick up on it.
Yeah, they were.
I'm point blank not having anything to do with the Daily Mail. So then I was like, right, okay, I can't read the article in the Daily Mail, and then it slowly started to tick through to all of the other media. Um, but yeah, what a day, what a day, and we will get onto that later. But lots of other things happened over the weekend, which probably led us to this point. But should we start with something positive?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The
Just
under 20s on Friday evening
doing us.
um, did us proud, showed real character. I've only seen bits and bobs of highlights because I was in a pub when they were playing. At that point in time, I was in a British pub called the Albert, which rather amused me because it's not far from the Trevi Fountain. And on the door, there's a sign saying, Miss the Trevi, Trevi, which rather amused me. I'd already been to the Trevi at that point in time. But did you guys watch that game in full on Friday? Because I've just seen bits and
Yeah, it
bobs of
did.
highlights.
Yeah.
No, it was good, to be fair. I mean, okay, we rode our luck a little bit at the end. Thought we'd blown it really with our last penalty. But thankfully the Italian lad bottled it as well. But yeah, good to get was first win away in 5 years, I think, is it, for the under
Yeah,
20s? Which was superb. Should have set up a positive weekend. It wasn't to be, but that turned out to be the one positive of the weekend. On an Ospreys note, German in the second row. I thought I had a really good game. Played the full 80. His maul defense, he probably saved a couple of tries from Italian mauls from lineouts early on, which could have turned the game in their direction early. But I think he had a really really good game. I'm okay. He did give away the penalty that could have lost them the game at the end, but they missed it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But an awful lot of
yeah,
promise there. That he played really well, and good sort of performances across the field, and hopefully that away win will push them on now to further wins throughout the campaign.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's impressive from him. Disappointing to just see one Osprey in the wider squad. A couple of boys from Aberafon as well, I noticed. Can't remember their names, sorry. But yeah, so not a huge amount of Ospreys talent breaking through to the Welsh team, it seems. But we know that they're out there, and we know a few boys have been promoted quite early on in their careers as well to senior level. So but yeah, Dan German was phenomenal. Really unlucky to have that disallowed try because, like the commentator said, it could have been the try of the
Yeah,
tournament, really, or contender for it. He's just a bit of a beast, isn't he? He's a brute in that South African style. So I quite like him as a prospect. Yeah.
quite Adam Beard like, wasn't he? I thought
Hmm.
in his style of play, controlling the mauls and stuff as well. Did a lot of ugly work.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, good second row, good prospect,
Yeah,
100%.
and there's some good quality that came off the bench as well. I thought Harry Ford came on and did a really good job at fly half, just
Yeah,
controlling the game in the final throws and bringing a bit more structure when things were starting to get a bit loose. No, it was a positive performance for Wales, really, that we should probably cling on to dearly because I don't know when our next win at any level is coming.
no, just shows that there is talent coming through. There's no okay, the Italian 20s aren't the strongest team, but to beat them away is no mean feat, and just shows that we have got that quality coming through. Hopefully, and it's how we nurture that talent now and use it properly. Hopefully, with an A-team structure, which you keep on banging on about, because that's what they need is that experience in between the first
yeah.
team and the 20s. But
Yeah,
maybe the new pathways will lead to that. Hopefully,
yeah. That came with a lot of firepower, though. Firepower, the Italian under 20s. Their was it their number five was just a brute,
oh, it's huge.
ab-
Yeah,
absolute monster. He made everybody else look like about 15 years old,
he did.
and he would basically in every carry end up with four players hanging off his coattails, slowly bringing him to just sort of a standstill, at which point you just tip over slowly. But number seven as well, very skillful open
Yeah.
side, not the biggest, maybe he just looked a bit smaller up against that lock. But he was very skillful and just great at evading tackles. So they came with some firepower, and Wales did well to just defend against that relentlessly for 80 minutes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was talking to an Italian fan over the weekend, and they were saying how much Italy has put in to developing rugby at all levels over the last sort of 15 years or so. And that's what's starting to take root with Italy now.
Mhm.
I think we can all remember the days when going back, then there were a fair number of, New Zealanders in the squad who were there, due to what's the word I'm looking for?
Residency.
Residential
Yeah.
qualifications. And it's nice to see that phasing out now that they've got a strong core within the team of Italian players, but they are doing a heck of a lot to build grassroots rugby in Italy. What amazed me on the weekend was the number of Italian fans who are now buying into rugby rather than necessarily football, or they can co-join as both. There was a massive amount of support, Italian support there over the weekend, and they're all eager to talk rugby and chat and everything else. So I think they've certainly made or started laying a really good succession foundation. But that work started, as I say, 10, 15
Mm.
years ago. Um, so it's nice to see that the younger players for Wales could go out there and show themselves against that player pathway that Italy has got in place now.
Yeah. Glimmers
Yeah,
of hope.
definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. From little acorns do oak trees grow.
Mhm.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And Whiffen seems like a really positive coach, doesn't he, Richard Whiffen? He seems the right kind of character to work with kids of that age.
Youngsters.
He's spot on, I think, in his attitude and his application towards those players, and the encouragement I think that he gives them comes across when they talk about him afterwards as well.
Mhm.
Yeah, and that's what you want is you want that level of player interaction, because when they're that age, they do need a lot of moulding, and it's knowing whether to use the stick or the carrot at that age. And it takes a good man manager
Yeah.
to know the difference, because some players are like racehorses and they need to be treated gently, and then some of them then are like shire horses. You can shove whatever you want at them. But so yeah, positive glimmers with the under 20s. Let's see how they get on in a couple of weeks' time now against Ireland. We're always quite strong at that age game.
Mhm.
Was trying to have a little look to see where that under 20s is being played, because I wouldn't mind seeing if I can get along.
I think it's up in
Newport.
North Wales.
It's up
No,
in North
Newport.
Wales. I ain't going up north.
Newport.
Yeah.
Newport.
Yeah,
Oh, Newport, is it?
it's
Newport.
Yes.
Newport.
Sorry,
Newport.
me, my
Yeah.
my old man did have that discussion, and we thought it
Yeah.
was North Wales, but I remember coming to the conclusion it's Newport now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they have
Go
they
on a
have
road trip,
sadly
Rod.
stopped bringing the games up to Colwyn Bay. So
I watched a few when I up in Colwyn Bay when I was in uni in Bangor. Enjoyed
yeah.
that. That was always a good day out.
Yeah, no, sadly they seem to be playing them at the Arms Park or at Newport these days. So
Mm,
I'd
yeah.
be tempted to go for a little road trip.
Yeah, it could be
Probably.
potentially. Yeah.
Yeah, could happen.
Hmm.
But moving on to the senior squad, um, what do we say about that, really?
Well, I I must admit, I can't really remember a lot from watching it, and I don't know whether that's because I was just numb to it all, or whether it was just so like boring and uninteresting that I just didn't take it. I really just don't. I have no analytical
They
insight.
got their kicking game right, Italy did. They nailed us on their kicking game. And whilst we outscored them with tries, penalties really did for us.
Yeah. Rod and I
Really,
were both
really did for
saying,
us.
Rod and I were both saying before we started, we both felt quite disengaged from the game for such a massive game for Wales on Saturday. We both felt quite disengaged from it all the way through.
Yeah,
Normally a game of that magnitude, you'd be really glued, you'd be really into it. Um, and obviously the sort of performance itself was abject. We didn't lay a glove on them for 73 minutes or whatever it was, and just got that try with a rolling ball, which kind of burst us into action for the last 7 or 8 minutes. But up until then, Italy were in complete control of the game. Um, and like we said, week in, week out, there is no plan B, is there? We played, but even worse this week, we just kicked the ball away constantly. It wasn't even kicking to compete; it was just kicking it to Italy
just kicking it. Yeah, just kicking
constantly
it.
and just giving them the ball. And yeah, I think, from 10 minutes, 15 minutes in, it was clear that nothing had changed from the week before. There was nothing had changed tactically, nothing had changed in terms of confidence of the players. I don't know what the feeling of the fans in the stadium was, but certainly for me watching at home, it was kind of, here we go, more of the same.
Frustration, a lot of frustration. Obviously, where I was in the stadium, then I was surrounded by Welsh fans, and it was a lot of what are we doing to mix it up? What's happening? Interestingly enough, I was sat next to a lad in the stadium who grew up with and knows Sam Parry, but he's a Scarlets fan. His dad's an Ospreys fan, and he basically turned around and said, "Why are the likes of Ruben not in there? Morgan,
Mm.
there are gaping holes with people that he could have given a chance to." Um, was very much the feeling. Um, a lot. Everyone was talking about Ben Thomas at 10. Even there were some Cardiff Blues fans in front of me. Even they were like, he's out of his depth there. He's not in a role. Oh, you're
Yeah.
on mute, babes.
I,
First
I,
time in 21 episodes, that what?
I know, I know, I know. What am I like? I honestly don't think it's worth even mentioning names, though, is what I was trying to say, because nobody had the platform there to do anything good with anything.
I
Um,
just feel sorry for Ben Thomas
yeah,
because he's getting a lot of grief online. The reality is, if your country's coach picks up the phone to you and says, "Will you play for me in this position and get a cap?" Do not tell me. If you turn around and tell me that you would turn that down, I will call you a liar to your face because you're not going to turn it down.
No.
no,
Simple, simple as, right? And that's nothing, and that's not me slagging him or anything else. He's been put in a position that he's not comfortable in, and that's not his fault, not like in any way, shape, or form. Um,
I mean, one
you
thing
know,
positively, I think if we are talking about players individually, I thought Faletau stepped up as a leader on Saturday. He went through a hell of a lot of work. He's
yeah,
clearly not 100% fit either, but he put himself in the sort of firing line a lot on Saturday.
yeah,
Carried a lot of ball, tried to win ball back on Italy's sort of possession and things, and it just shows that he's still got plenty of life in him, definitely.
yeah,
Not a player to think about discarding for the future. I think when he gets his fitness back, then he's certainly got a few years at that international level left in him.
yeah.
Um, but like Rod said, it's almost pointless getting into individual performances.
Loved Wainwright when Wainwright came on.
Yeah, because as a team, the team performance wasn't there, was it? And that's not down to the
No,
players.
no,
The players follow the structure and follow the game plan that they're given. These guys are professionals. They follow game plans for their regions. They have done for their clubs, for youth teams, for school teams, their entire career. This is what they do for a living. So they follow the game plan, and the game plan wasn't working and
it's
hasn't
not
been
a
for the
it's not
last
a player
year.
issue in my mind.
No, it's not. No, and
It's
that's
not.
why
It's
we're
a
where we are
coaching
today, isn't
issue.
it?
Yeah, it's a coaching issue. And for me, I think Clive Woodward summed it up best for me on the weekend, and I said this to you guys as well offline. Woodward knew it was time for him to go after the World Cup in 2003. Woodward felt he'd reached the end of the line, not only with England but with his coaching career. he didn't think that he had anything else to offer to the game. He didn't think he could evolve with the game the way that it was evolving. And I think for me, the stubbornness with Gatland has been his undoing in that he came back at a time when we needed him. Let's face it, we did, we needed a coach, but it was that inability to evolve, I think, that's done for Gatland. And again, putting people around you in that coaching team who perhaps wouldn't feel comfortable in calling you out on your stubbornness. So
Mm.
for me, 100%, there is no doubt in my mind that when those players go on that field, they're not going on to lose. They're not going on to give a bad performance. They're giving their heart and their soul for their country. Um, for people like Tompkins to come out and say, I feel like I need to say sorry,
Mm.
that's awful. That is awful. I don't need anybody to apologise for me for a bad day at the office, so to speak.
But if anybody was going to
Awful.
apologise, that should have come from the coaching team and should have come from
Yeah,
Gatland himself, shouldn't it? If anybody was going to come out to apologise, but the silence from them after that performance on Saturday
deafening,
was deafening, wasn't it?
absolutely deafening, which has obviously brought us on to the event of today, which transpires was talked about on Monday. Um, as we say, rumours and stuff going on. I was at a talk on Friday night with Howley, Gats, and Jenks, and there was an opportunity, or we were told there'd be an opportunity for us to ask questions, and it got through the evening, and they were very entertaining, talking about Lions tours and various bits and bobs and stuff within the Welsh setup. But it became clear as it was going on that there wouldn't be that opportunity to talk, like discuss questions. Um, and then obviously in the press conference today, there were a couple of things that were said that indicated that he kind of knew at that point in time that he was gone at the end of the tournament. Um, but he then personally made the decision to fall on his sword, and he picked the phone up first to Abby Turney today or yesterday to say, I think I should go. I need to do this for the best of Welsh rugby.
Yeah.
So I think the writing was on the wall. We just didn't necessarily know the writing was on the wall.
Yeah, and I think for all we, think of Gatland, and we've been very critical and rightly so over the past 12 months, the fact that, as Teeny said today, he was the one that picked up the phone and sort of sounds like it was him that said, I'm done, enough's enough.
Yeah,
And the fact that he's walked away with no financial gain from this either, which he could have done quite easily. It sounds like there's no payout, there's no agreement financially for him to be paid, until the end of the Six Nations or until the summer or whatever it may be. Um, so I think for all the criticism that he's had, he's done the right thing at the end of the day. It sounds like he's realised himself, and like he said Friday, maybe you already knew that before the game. Um, and it was inevitable, but it's good in some ways that he can maintain his reputation, whatever's left of it, in the way that he's left, maybe.
yeah. It would be a shame if this was to be his lasting legacy in Welsh rugby and not his first stint. It would be a massive, massive shame. I know you've been a bit out of the loop today, Rod, with work. What was your first reaction when you heard the news that it was an immediate departure? Because for me, it was like, what, mid-tournament? Okay. It
Yeah, it was a bit exciting, really, wasn't it?
was
Um,
like, oh,
yeah,
what,
yeah,
that was proper pinging off, wasn't it?
yeah, because we've been used to a lot of drama in Wales over the last couple of years, but more recently it's just been less drama, more mundane mediocrity. So a bit of excitement was, at least it wasn't just the usual stuff that we've been discussing about over the last couple of weeks. It was something new and fresh. So yeah, excitement, curiosity, lots of anticipation as to where it's going to go from here. But on your point about Gatland and his legacy, I don't think it should tarnish him too irreparably. Irreparably. going forward in a couple of years' time. Everybody deep down appreciates that he's just a symptom of a bad system. So 2 years will go by, and people will talk about this failed second stint, but ultimately he will be remembered for being one of Wales's greatest coaches. And if you take his first stint in isolation, the stats paint a clear picture, and that is the case. So you can almost treat them like two different people. It's Gats Mark 1 and Gats Mark 2, and the Mark 2 version of the software had a few bugs in it. So they if we could resort back to Mark 1 or go back 10 years where that game plan works, it'd be better. But yeah. Looking forward to just speculating now for a little while as to who's the next person to come and
Well,
bear this poison chalice.
I had a bit of inside info earlier on, which I did message you both on because there was various names being touted in the press, and Abby mentioned she's been contacted by a couple of people already this morning. And she didn't obviously name who they were, but Wales being Wales and people knowing people, then my brother kind of rang me and he was like, I've heard of a good source about the meeting that took place this morning, that the names that contacted were one of them we expected, which was Franco Smith from Glasgow. No East to be there, which surprised me because with his links to Wales, I would think that would be potentially a good fit. But two left field names in the name of Pat Lam and Jake White, which weren't even remotely on my radar. If I hear anything else, then I'll, let you know.
The only indication I come across of that specifically was on Wales Online earlier. They had a bit of a poll, like yes, no, like a
Yeah,
Tinder style thing, swipe left and right,
So,
and there was about a dozen names in there. So I don't know where they plucked half of those from, but those names were on there: Pat Lam and Jake White as well.
Jake
talk
White.
about talk about people at different ends of the spectrum there, though. You've got
Yeah,
Pat Lam, who's got Bristol purring this season,
yeah.
playing really attractive, attacking rugby, better than we've seen in the Premiership for years, probably. And then Joe Schmidt, more sort of pragmatic, more experienced, bit more of a taskmaster possibly as well. So two totally different characters there, definitely.
People touting Michael Checker as well. Now that's not for me. That's not a bit of me. Um, I think whoever comes in, as Abby Tierney said in the press conference, it needs to be a good cultural fit. And by cultural fit, I'm reading someone who's prepared to work with the talent that we've got and fit their game plan to the players,
Mm.
not the other way around. That's kind of what I read
Yeah.
into that.
It's an interesting one,
Um,
isn't it? Because they could go with a coach that can grow with with the actual squad itself. So somebody who hasn't got that international experience
Needs
who
to be.
can grow with that squad, or they could go for somebody who's been there and done it that can give their experience to to an inexperienced squad of players and bring them forward in that way. So there's two schools of thought there on Thursday, which would
Yeah.
be the most effective.
And what makes it especially interesting is obviously WRU are recruiting a DOR at the moment,
Director,
director of
yeah.
rugby. So they're going to try and get that post filled.
She said no.
No.
No?
If they
She
can,
intimated
yes.
today, yeah, she intimated today that they're more likely, I think, to appoint a coach before the DOR because they don't want to miss out on the
Someone
best
good.
coach while they wait for a DOR first, which kind of suggests that they might have a coach that they're pretty close to making their mind up already, possibly.
Do you know what I loved as well, which I think is a sassy move on her part? One of the journals asked her, "So are you going to go fishing with the other countries?" And she went, "Absolutely." And I'm like, "Go on,
Yeah.
girl. Don't be shy about it." Because I was initially thinking, "Oh my God, who would want to coach us?" And then I was having a conversation with my brother about Easterby, and he was like, "Well, why would he leave such a good, successful island team?" And it's like, well, he gets to be the master of his own ship for starters.
Yeah.
He gets to grow within the role. He's got ties to Wales. His family are over here anyway. and he knows how Welsh rugby works. So anybody with the slightest whiff of ambition to want to prove themselves on the world stage would want to come in and potentially take Wales on and turn them around.
Plus, you're starting from ground zero. It is a blank slate in
Yeah,
that sense. It literally cannot get worse. Win one game and you're doing better.
Yeah.
So, you got a unique opportunity in one sense to just yeah, create your own narrative from ground zero without having to rewrite what's come before and try and force an existing playing style into a new mold. You just go. I think the players are so disenfranchised that they'll lap anything up that seems to have good structure and some positive thought behind it.
Let's
I
hope that
think
Eddie Jones's visit to the Scarlets last week was a complete coincidence.
Oh,
Has
Christ.
nothing at all to do with
absolutely
this.
not. I can't get on board with that one either. Um, I think for me, some of the things that, you know, were said really reflected and hit home with me really. And I think we're victims of a 20-year build-up. What's happening now is stuff that's coming home to roost. So we were lucky to have a generation of players that were so fantastic that we didn't bring younger players in. We didn't create our own succession pathway. But we, as the Welsh public, also have to take an element of responsibility for that as well, because we want a team to win. We don't like it when people tinker with a winning formula. And if you don't tinker with a winning formula and have a mix of old and new, you're not building for the future. And we've been guilty of that because we're a demanding public. We want the wins, we want the titles. Um, and one of the things I think that's said that which really resonated with me again was we've got to be patient. They're young players. We've got to give them the chance to rebuild. We can't expect too much too soon. We're trying to solve an age-old problem.
I, I
And
I did buy that age thing 2 years ago, but looking at the average squad age, sorry, the team ages from this weekend, England on average were 2 years younger than us, across the board, and they went out and did that job on France. I
they had
bought
a
that
right
2 years ago. I'm not sure I buy it anymore.
I think it's a knife edge though, because if that hadn't have gone Borthwick's way on Sat, like I watched the last 20 minutes of that. We got back from the stadium and I watched the last 20 minutes, and that was a thrilling last 20 minutes of rugby.
Mm.
But if that had gone a different way, I suspect Borthwick would be under a massive amount of pressure as well.
Yeah.
Um, I just do think that we're not bringing people through. We're not giving people the opportunity to play or
I'm hope
seeing how they can settle into a senior
yeah.
international team.
I hope we'll be surprised with the change of coaching approach with these players. We've got players that are playing well at URC level, players that are excelling at URC level, um, who are not performing to the same standard for Wales as they are for their clubs. And I'm sort of hoping that a change of approach and better coaching will make us realise that maybe the quality of the players that we've got isn't as bad as we think.
I
And that
don't think
may have been a little bit of an excuse for the coaching team and for the media over the past few months or whatever, that we haven't got the quality and the talent in Wales. I think it's there, but it hasn't been nurtured properly.
yeah. And England were able to shut down DuPont and change their game plan on Friday. They held their frigging nerve in that last 5 minutes. Um, and you know what? I saw a TikTok of Joe Marler reacting to the win, and it was lash. He was so happy. Um, I also saw an interesting tweet over the weekend about someone suggesting that we go back to the old district and regional structure below certain ages. So you've got you like say your Bonamine and Dunban and everything else, but then you've got your you know districts that have come through, because you did have some fantastic players that came through that kind of pathway. But it'll be interesting to see what the pathway that Abby Tierney is talking about looks like to bring those younger players through.
And that's going to take a while, isn't it? We're talking about a 10-year program then maybe to, by the time that gets an impact on the Welsh first team. Whereas what we need is an immediate impact to win matches.
Mhm.
And to do that, whoever comes in as coach needs to be able to get the best out of these players that we've got. The pathway will look after itself in due course once that's in place. But we need a bit of a win now mentality as well, don't we?
And hopefully a national academy as well. So you've got your regional pathways, but then you've got your national academy. Um, Rod, do you think perhaps Gatland lost the changing room a little bit towards the end?
It's hard to see. We only see a snapshot, don't we? But like you raised earlier, when you see Nick Tompkins coming out and apologising, it came across as just a bit helpless, a bit a bit like he didn't really understand himself. And I know it's a short time period after the match, but generally players can identify pretty immediately what went wrong in a game, and it just felt a
Just
bit
didn't know.
yeah, yeah. So it speaks to issues that, above his pay grade, as it were. And once you've lost that vision and understanding of what you're trying to deliver, then you don't know what you're working towards. You lose the passion, you lose, the cohesion,
Confidence.
everything goes. So yeah, it's hard to say, but I know how I would feel in that situation.
I can tell you because I saw them in the airport on the way home. They were on a flight that left for about 10 minutes before ours.
Mhm.
I was going through security and I was like, frigging hell, that fella's really tall. And I looked and there was loads of them with their hoods up. And then I realised it was the squad. It was Dav Jenkins. Um, they literally had their hoodies up, their heads down, and for all the world they wanted to look like they wanted to be invisible. It it was pitiful, really, really pitiful. Um, but what was lovely was people like taking second glances and recognizing them and having a bit of a chat or asking for a selfie. So I hope that they take heart from that there is the support there. If I was giving these players advice, turn off social media, don't look for your name, don't, let it all just go over the top of your head. Um, but they looked as a sorry little bunch. And when I say sorry little bunch, I mean I wanted to go up and give them a hug and be like, it's all right, lads, we've been here before in Welsh rugby. It'll get better.
Mm.
I just felt so sorry for them as they were walking through the airport. Um, and they kind of hid themselves away in like little various cafes in the airport. And I can't blame them.
Yeah.
I can't. Do you know what I mean? I genuinely can't. Um, and there were a couple of things that were quite telling that was said in the conference today, which was they need to be excited for the game again. They need to have a confident and a positive mindset. They need to lack fear.
And that's
Wherever they
what's
got fear from,
yeah.
you shouldn't be afraid.
And that's what's just struck me now as well, Sam. It sounds like from the way that we're all talking, that we've already got the wooden spoon in our hands, as it were.
I don't give a
And
toss
that
about
this is
that.
all over. But, ultimately, from their perspective, they need to pick themselves up again now and get ready to go again in 2 weeks' time, because it's not over yet. And there
As
could be a
Phil
lot more
Steele
pain to
said, the
come.
triple crown is still on. We
Yeah,
haven't lost that yet.
yeah, yeah.
And I've seen us come back. You have as well, Mark. You've
Yeah, yeah.
seen us win these games where nobody has given us a snowball chances in hell. It might just be the change that they need because do you know what? Nobody's expecting anything from them now. They've hit the lowest of the low. The coach is gone. There's nothing to say that they can't think, oh, I'm just going to go on and do what I want to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
If it works, great. If it doesn't, nobody was expecting anything anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was good with what Sherratt said today, that he knows the Welsh public expect the Welsh team to play in a certain way, to entertain, to put a smile on the sort of public's faces. He understands what Welsh rugby needs now at this stage. There are glum faces from the stands, but also sadly from the players themselves. And initially, it's putting the smile back on their faces and getting them to enjoy their rugby a little bit. They're representing their country as the pinnacle of their sport. They should be enjoying that.
Oh,
And through their enjoyment, the Welsh public will get interest back and start enjoying things a little bit more again. So I think over this next three games, that's his main job, is geeing those players
belief.
up,
Yeah.
putting some belief back into them, getting their faces, smiling a little bit again and just enjoying the rugby.
Yeah.
The happiest person I saw in the airport was Sam Parry eating a Nutella donut. He was sat opposite me, and I was like, Sam, mate, you're living your best life.
We had some
Crack
fantastic
into the
sightseeing
donut.
pictures on the weekend, didn't he? Fair play. I think he got
Oh,
everywhere in the city, didn't he?
oh, they had a lovely little tour round, didn't they? Him and Tommy Red.
Yeah.
Um, I was cheeky as well, and I did say to him, "You back on Friday, mate, or what?" Which, and he went, "Yeah, we're being released on Friday." Don't know about Dan, but he said that he was back with the team from Friday. Um, I don't know about you guys, but I'm kind of sick of this now and this Gatland thing.
Yeah.
I think as a Welsh public, as a rugby watching nation, we just kind of need now to support it, ride it out. The rain don't last forever. Sunny times will come again. We just got to be patient.
Yeah.
Whether that's looking ahead and bringing a new structure in for Japan and getting a new coaching team in. Be kind of interested to see if Matt Sherratt brings anybody else in,
That's the
because they didn't
interesting
say that it was off the table that he could bring other people in and change
No.
his squad.
We were saying before you came on, Sam, just wondering whether the Ireland game might be a bit soon to bring anybody back, because he's not joining up with the squad until Monday.
Monday.
He's going to have four training sessions with the squad before Saturday. The squad has settled now into the squad that's been training the whole Six Nations so far. Just wonder whether he'll run with what's there and give those players an opportunity against Ireland, and then with a view of maybe drafting in a few more. Um, because we were saying, there's players that he's worked with before, like Anscombe, for example, who he would trust, and he would see as a potential leader of that back line that he may consider bringing back. Llewellyn was obviously a big surprise omission from the initial squad, who's continuing to play well for his club as well. So, those are the obvious two you would think, but then also are there other players that he's worked with previously with Cardiff that you think he might bring in because they're players that he's worked with before and that he trusts, that he knows?
And will he play
Yeah,
Ben Thomas at inside centre?
I
I
don't think he'd play him at 10.
no,
I just, that's not where he sees him really, is it?
I
Yeah.
don't think
So,
he'll ever play a 10 for Wales again, to be honest.
Hmm. So is
and
it
that's not a reflection of
On
him.
him at all, no.
That's the
No.
reflection of just, you're not a 10, love. You don't want to, in all fairness to him, he doesn't even want to play a 10. He's never said that he wants to play a 10. So cut the lad some slack. He was one with his hood up in the airport on Sunday as well. And then, if I hadn't have come across his old lady stalker, it would have been, it's all right. It's okay.
I bet
You know,
Sherratt's really going to enjoy that though, just like sticking it to Warren, having the final sort of
like
word in
that.
the argument and going, nah, he's a
Yeah.
centre mate.
Bye, bye, bye.
Yeah.
Um, but looking ahead then to Friday and
On to the good
well,
stuff.
Yeah, we're
onto the
back.
good
Proper
stuff,
rugby.
proper rugby. Friday we host Leinster at the Swansea.com. Now I know I've said that I'm not going to be there. I'm going to be at Paddy McGuinness, which I'm gutted at because I would like to be back and I would like to see my boy Geordie.
I'm going to be there.
But
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this after the last 2 weeks. I really need it. I don't need the win. I just need, you know, I'm
good
confident
rugby.
that they'll put in a performance that, you can just be sort of proud of.
Yeah,
Um, I know that will happen at the very least, so I'm really looking forward to it. I need it.
yeah. I'm jealous. I am jealous. But I do love Paddy McGuinness, no likey, no likey.
Mm.
Um, and I've loved him a long time since like Phoenix Nights and Max and Paddy. So I wasn't really thinking when I booked these tickets like a year and a half ago. And now it's coming round. I got serious FOMO for Leinster. But then, it is what it is.
Mhm.
Um, any thoughts on possible squad
Well, it'll
or
be
team?
interesting to see who both sides release. Presumably, Leinster won't be receiving many players back.
They don't
Um,
need many players back to at the end of the day. They've got
exactly,
enough.
if any at all. Hopefully, we may see a couple, maybe even just the one, as as you alluded to, Sam. Sam Parry may have to make an appearance because we're actually in a bit of a predicament at the moment at hooker
Yeah,
with Lewis Lloyd's injury, Dewi Lake's injury. We're left with just one hook option, and that's Ethan Lewis, isn't it?
yeah.
So we're going to need that bolstering in that position. So I think we can expect Sam Parry to come back, can't we?
You'd hope Ben Warren maybe as well. He hasn't played a minute for Wales, has he? So,
Yeah.
they'll want him to have a bit of game time as well. So you'd hope for
Yeah,
him back, and then we got Boter as well. But you'd expect Ben Warren to be back maybe. I'd be surprised if Dan comes back, especially if he's in line to start against
yeah.
Ireland. They wouldn't
He
want
didn't mention
to anyway.
that he was coming back. I did ask, but he didn't say yay or nay.
Yeah.
Did tell him about your man crush as well, Rod, and he laughed. Thought it was quite amusing. I was like, Rodri's got a proper man crush on you, my Dan. And I was like, you're his new man crush. I said, you're one of a number, but you're there at the minute. And he was laughing because it was quite funny as we walk into the airport. Him and Sam both said hello to me first. And my husband was like, oh, they recognised you. And I was like, okay. I was like, hi, how are you both? Um, and then it was very stalky because I ended up sat next to him in the restaurant as well. Um, but yeah, I'd like to see Sam come back and get some game time.
Mhm.
Um, I think it would be good for him to have that game time and perhaps show Matt Sherratt what he can do and how capable he is. Because when I was watching the warm up on Saturday afternoon, he his or the lineup wasn't that successful when they were warming up,
Yeah.
wasn't that successful when they were playing. So I think perhaps it'll give him the showcase of his talent to show, Matt Jarrett will know anyway, but it'll give him that bit of a show in. Who are we hoping to see for Leinster?
All of them flat on their backs, hopefully. I did message Bosch off this morning, so he'll be coming up against Barrett directly, won't he? And said hoping to see lots of hard hits on Barrett Friday night. He just sent me a muscle emoji back. So yeah, hopefully we'll see him put in plenty of big hits in. I'm ridiculously optimistic for Friday. I know Leinster have only dropped 2 points the entire season, let alone not looked like losing the entire season. But I just have a sneaky feeling the way we've been building the last few weeks that it could be our night on Friday, and I may be completely, it's just blind faith. I've got no reason to think that. I've got no, you know, facts or anything else to back it up. But I've just got a funny feeling that we could just do a job on them on
No,
Friday.
no facts, no data, apart from the fact that we are lossless under Mark Jones, mate.
Well, there is that,
Long
yeah.
may it
And we're on a
continue.
run.
Uh,
And to be honest with you, it would just be my blinking luck that I am not there on Friday and that it will happen. And it will also be my luck that the players come up to the lounge afterwards and I don't get to meet Georgie Barrett.
yeah. There is no
It's going
pressure
to
on us
happen.
Friday.
I'm telling you now, you heard it you first. It's going to happen.
Yeah, we have no pressure on us at all on Friday. Nobody's
Nobody
expecting us to
expects
win the game.
anything.
So we might as well do like we did in the first half against Benetton, throw it around, have a really good go with them, take them on up front as well. There's nothing to lose. Just go for them. They're
I
thinking
like,
guys at the end of the day, and they like we are.
Yeah.
but it's that confidence thing as well, isn't it? Like, and again, no disrespect to Toby, but Mark Jones seems to have instilled another level of confidence in them with regards to their attacking and their passing game, which is a kind of it's an entirely different style, isn't it, to what Toby had.
Yeah.
But it's that the first game was a bit shaky, wasn't it? Let's face it. They were a bit like, we don't know what we're doing. We don't know if we're going to pull this off. We don't know if the handling's going to work. And then all of a sudden, that confidence is growing, and those passes are hitting target. Those tries are coming. Those set pieces are coming off. So I think it's evolving into a really lovely entertaining style of play.
Yeah.
It just looks 5 to 10% bit more sort of confident and adventurous each week, doesn't it?
They're walking a bit taller, aren't they?
Yeah,
You
100%.
know, they really, really are.
Yeah.
So we all think we're going to win.
Well, I
Be
do
interesting.
anyway.
It's going to happen. The way my week is going, it's going to happen, and I'm
Well,
going to be kicking myself.
if that happens, it does not matter what happens for the rest of the Six Nations for me, because
All right then.
I'll be on cloud nine.
Do you know what, though, Rod?
So you take a win Friday above Wales winning any more games in the Six Nations.
No,
Oh yeah, it's a write-off now.
I think I
no,
would
no,
as
no,
well. I
no.
think I'd
I'm
take
married to someone
Friday.
Scottish. I can't bear the thought of losing to those kilted gets. I can't cope with that. That does not sit well with me. Um, oh no, I said last week the next time we go away, then we'll go and watch Scotland playing.
Yeah.
I lied. We're gonna watch Wales Ireland next year in Dublin. Surprise! Fair play, he takes it all in good humour, and yeah, you're married to me, I'm a nightmare. What do you expect? So that's our kind of things for Friday.
I
Rod,
think
I'm
it's
really
on
sorry.
BBC, not just Premier Sports.
It is, yeah.
I will definitely avoid or try and avoid it whilst I'm in Paddy, and then watch it when I get home.
So
I'm sorry about that.
do you not have notifications turned on the Ospreys app?
I
Because
do, but I'll turn the buggers off.
yeah, well, sometimes I find that thing temperamental, and you knock them off, and then suddenly you get a spoiler again because they come through earlier than the actual live stream, don't they?
Yeah.
I'll just turn everything off. I'll put my phone in airplane mode.
Yeah, I've got one of those, so it just even if I stop it on my phone, it still seems to just buzz through on here.
Yeah, that does that with my Samsung watch as well. It really
Yeah.
annoys me.
Yes, yeah. And it
Very,
just
very
buzzes,
much
and
annoys
before you
me.
even think what you're doing,
You're
and
just like there.
look at it, and then you realize, oh Christ, try Leinster. Jesus Christ.
It's because we're now Pavlov's dogs to technology.
Just
Yeah.
get a TikTok watch instead.
You
Just
know,
goes round and round and round.
me and um, me and Mark can remember the days, before such technology existed. Um, so fingers crossed for a really positive game um on Friday evening. Questions wise, we haven't had anything today other than lots of comments on social media about, oh my God, you guys have got loads to talk about tonight, which we kind of have had loads to talk about, really. But we had some nice feedback on YouTube last week, didn't we? From, was it Phil Davis? Who messaged and said he likes the community that we're building. So not a question, but a comment, really.
Yeah, we like that.
We do like to think of ourselves as a little community. I'm the bonkers aunt who don't get let drunk at Christmas. Rod's the poster child, and Mark's a sensible one who gets us all home when we're drunk. Well, what are we reckoning?
What I do
Um,
like, Jamie from Dragon's Lair does, if you give us a 5-star review, we'll read out your comment and your review, but only if they're 5-star, not 3, not 4.
5.
So let's do that. Let's do that. If you're willing to give us a 5-star review, we'll read it out on the pod in the future.
We
I'll
And
do
really
your
anyone,
like this
personal
one.
dedication. I'll give you your own cameo. I'll sing one about Chant the Stew down the phone. I'll ring you on WhatsApp.
we may have to backtrack on a couple though that have come in the previous 20 episodes that we
We'll
should
just
probably
slowly
give a
drip
shout out.
feed. We'll just slowly drip feed those in.
Just
So
in
we
case
haven't
he
had.
was listed as well this week, Sam is now a complete media lovey. She's been on Radio Wales twice already, even over this
They
weekend.
don't want me tomorrow now. They've
Oh, they don't
messaged me
want
to
you
say,
tomorrow. Oh
no, they've
no.
messaged me to say you've been on twice already. We're going to give someone else the chance to speak.
Ah,
But
well,
that's
I
okay.
say
I've
the
been on
Black Feather
twice.
has gone global, isn't it, this last weekend?
Do you know what, right? It's those nuns. It's the fact that I tweeted about those ninja nuns that got me on Radio Wales on Friday.
Yeah,
Should we tell people what happened to me on Friday?
I think you should. Yeah.
Right. So I was going to the Vatican on Friday, and because I'm a lazy ass and didn't want to walk for 45 minutes, we decided to get the metro. So there were six of us. Now the metro in Rome is kind of crazy. Um, and everybody, it's a bit like the tube in London, but a bit more Italian and a bit more mental. Um, and we're all there now, we're all queuing, and I'm right in front of the doors. But for some bizarre reason, everyone else, like four of us, got on the metro. Two of us got left behind. Do you know why two of us got left behind? Because we got ninjaed by nuns. I got shoulder barged by nuns. And like they got on the metro. So explain to me how I'm stood in front of the door and I should be getting on first and I missed the metro. I got an elbow bruise on my boob where she ninjaed me. She
Nobody
reminded
stands
me
between a nun and God.
and the God. So I'm on God's shit list. I'm convinced, right? Absolutely convinced I'm on God's shit list. But I tweet about it and I said things I wasn't expecting to say, the Rome edition. Because John was messaging me and he was like, how did you manage to miss the metro, you and Ian? And I was like, literally not lying. I got shoulder barged by nuns. And he was like, are you joking me? And I was like, I got shoulder barged by nuns. And he was like, what, the little Chinese ones who've got on with us? That's not me being racist. They were actually Chinese. And I was like, yeah. And he went, they're shorter than you. And I'm 5'2". And I was like, doesn't mean that they didn't shoulder barge me out of the way. Me and Ian were just standing there like, what just happened?
Did they do it collectively? Did they sort of gang up into some sort of
They were a
formation?
gaggle of nuns. They went into like transformer status
Yeah.
and went together in a group. And it was like, oh my God. Have you seen Blues Brothers?
Yeah.
You know the penguin nun in Blues Brothers with the ruler and she
Yeah.
hits them all the time?
Yeah.
They were like her.
I've got a
They
visions now
didn't
of nuns
scrub
kind
And
of
down.
stacked up on top of one another.
literally, they got off at the same station as John and we followed them to the Vatican. And they didn't go into like the visitors' entrance of the Vatican. They went into like the staff entrance of the Vatican. They did not love their brother, did they? They shoved me out of the way. Well, what happened to be good to thy neighbour?
There might be something similar, like if you come across a monk out in Asia and parts of Asia, you're supposed to always give them your seat, let them go in front of you, hold the door, just basically stop what you're doing and facilitate them. Maybe there's a rule like that in Rome or in the
I,
Vatican
I
where
did not I did not know that.
You'll know next
maybe
time.
I don't know. I'm
I did not know that,
theorizing here.
you know. And got to the Vatican. I survived. I did not go into flames. I've got a rosary that's been blessed by the Pope because I bought it in the Vatican shop. I don't think he individually blessed it. I just think they shoved a box past him and he did the whole shabongi. But I got a new rosary because I'm a lapsed Catholic. Um, got some really nice fridge magnets of the Jubilee year for the Vatican. Um, for Santi's tomb, like in the Da Vinci Code. Do you know they've had to know when he in the Da Vinci Code where he takes like the bollard thing and he goes into the like the floor and whatever. They've had to cordon that off because some idiots do go and try and do that to the floor. What's wrong with you? Like, it's a book. It's not real. It's absolutely not real. Um, but I'm going to say something that's probably a bit controversial now. Found the Sistine Chapel quite underwhelming.
Really?
Yeah, beautiful, really, really beautiful. But they warn you before you go in. Don't talk. be silent. It's a place of reflection. It's the Pope's private chapel. No photographs. Now, as much as I'm a rule breaker, if you tell me something like that in the house of God, I'm going to obey that. So I'm sat there and they've got like chairs all around the side, and I managed to get on a bench where I'm looking at the creation and the fingeries type thing. And it's beautiful. But all I can hear is the Italian guards going, Silenzio! No photos! And I'm thinking, I'm trying to have a one-on-one with God by here, and all I've got is people shouting. So it kind of underwhelmed me a little bit. The
Maybe if you
system
had the nuns with you, it would have been a different experience. Maybe if you brought them in with
holy,
you.
holy.
Did
Um,
you leave a TripAdvisor review?
Absolutely not. I'm not one of those weirdos. Like look, I am the Carl Pilkington of travellers. I saw the Statue of Liberty and said it looked small.
It does.
I went to the White
It was
House.
small.
It looked small. I was like, this does not look like it did on Independence Day or White House Down, right? I'm very hard to please when it comes to things like that. But you know what I did love? I loved all the sculptures. Thought it was really amazing. My favourite one I posted on Instagram was of a kid riding a swan eating grapes. 2,000 years old. The other one was a kid strangling a goose. And apparently that was quite a popular sculpture to have in 2000 AD, 200 AD.
And these things happen in Swansea all the time as well.
It's like being
Yeah,
on Mine Street, mate.
I was gonna
Absolutely
say
like being on Mine Street.
it's my
Um,
favorite genre of like animal video online is people getting chased by and harassed by birds.
I
So
love it. And I really love the fact that crows hold a grudge for 17 years. I'm technically a crow. Like, do you know what I mean? I, I like that. I'm not Jesus. I'm not going to forgive and forget. Like, I'm not there.
you
It's,
had a
it's
good
not in my
trip.
nature.
Ate lots of good food.
Loads of good food. World's best sandwich.
And you promised me a bottle of limoncello, but I see you've come dressed as the limoncello. Is that your
Right, piss off.
is that
This
the joke?
is buttercup yellow. And I had bought you a bottle of limoncello. I bought you a premium bottle of limoncello from Sicily, nonetheless.
Oh,
I just got to deliver it to you. John also had a bottle.
amazing, amazing.
But that's
Well,
slur, though. After that slur, you may not have it now,
I
Rod.
mean, I didn't intend it as a slur. I thought you were presenting yourself as the gift.
I'm being sunny. I'm like, hello. Um, but yeah, that was my trip in a nutshell. Now, you guys know about this, and I'm going to bring this in to the random question. And the reason why I'm asking this random question is because of what happened to me in the airport on Sunday. What has happened to you in your life that has genuinely mortified you to the point that you would happily have the ground open up and swallow you? What in life has really embarrassed you? And you can't say your trouser incident, Rod.
Oh, it takes a lot more than that to embarrass me. I'm
I
struggling
got
to
no shame,
think of any.
really.
I got no shame. Um,
Shall I go first? Well, I was in a staff meeting with about 20 of the members of staff, probably. And I was sat in the corner furthest away from the door. And I've been sat with one leg up on top of the other, and without realizing, one leg had gone completely numb. So it got to the point I really needed to go for a wee. So I excused myself to go for a wee. And then as soon as I put one foot on the floor, realized that it was completely dead and had to walk probably about 10 meters across the room in front of 20 people, literally dragging my leg behind me
Off the
to
peg
get out of
leg.
the room. Yeah, and everybody's sort of thinking, what the hell's he doing now? Yeah, that was a memorable one that I can think of off the top of my head. Yeah.
Oh my God. Thing is, how do you even explain that? How would you style that out like?
Well, you can't, can you? When you can
You
literally,
can't. You just got to
when you
look
can
like
only
a
move one
pirate.
leg,
did a
there's very
zombie
little you can do.
impression.
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm still
Rod.
struggling, to be honest, Sam. Nothing immediately pop into mind. I'm not easily embarrassed. I just take things on the chin, take them as they come. I'm just too cool. I just don't do anything wrong.
Oh, you're too cool.
No,
I have got
Well,
another
I do
school-based one as well.
yeah.
We were taking a school. I was taking a school assembly, and it was quite a big assembly. We had visitors and all sorts in. So my classroom again was the furthest away from the hall. Got the children all stood behind their chairs, ready to go to assembly. Need to be quiet, best behaviour, blah 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 blah. Got into the hall, started to take the assembly. Went to talk to one of the children in my class who was going to take part in the assembly, and they weren't there. So I said, "Well, where's so and so so and so? Why aren't they here?" And then dawned on me that my whole class weren't there, and I'd come to the assembly, left them all stood behind their
behind the
chairs,
chairs.
and they'd been there for about 10 minutes by that point. I went down to my class. They were stood in complete silence still,
Oh, love 'em.
waiting for me to go to the assembly. So I had to go, excuse me, went back all the way down through the school, collected my class, brought them back into the hall for all of the visitors and said, I'm really sorry, I forgot to bring my own class to assembly.
I'm a bad parent. I left my kid in the supermarket.
I'm
Oh,
impressed that they
good
were all stood
God.
there in silence, to be honest,
Well,
because
so was I, because they never were normally.
yeah, it's funny.
They were on their best behaviour.
Obviously were, yeah.
Well, what they were doing is counting down to 15 minutes. That trope thing. If teacher doesn't turn up in 15,
Yeah.
we're all legally allowed to leave.
Go on. So should we share what happened with me on Sunday?
Yeah, we should, yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
I've had finer moments, lads, not gonna lie. So, in the airport, loads of players. Um, said hello to a number. Aaron Wainwright is not going to hear this. However, if he does, or if one of the players listens, can you tell Wayno I proper love him? I went up to him. He thought I wanted a selfie. And I was like, I don't want a selfie. I'm not there for a selfie. I just want to have a look at your face. And he's like, well, I want to have a look at the stitches. He went, oh, the stitches are out. And fair play, difference between NHS and private doctors, boy's not going to be left with a scar. So I was like, oh my God, how bad was it? Could you see your teeth through your face? And he went, do you want to see a picture? I was like, yeah, I do. Wow. He was literally split from there right through his tash to the corner of his mouth. Mega. And something had obviously gone through you. So spoke to him, got my coffee. Everyone's a winner. Go and sit down. To the right of me, I've got Sam Parry, Dan Edwards, Nicky Smith. Over there, I've got other players. I'm like, oh, I need to put sugar in my coffee. I need to get a stirrer. Get up, confidently walking along now. Don't see someone's poured a whole load of water on the floor. Now, lots of marble floors in Italy, guys. I'm wearing Adidas Gazelles. Yeah. Do you want to guess what happened? I'm like Bambi on friggin' ice. No Roadrunner when he goes off the cliff and his feet are doing this and he's just there suspended in midair. That was me. And then all of a sudden, my feet connected with the floor and I started to fall and run and shuffle forward. Ended up doing a dive on the floor and ended up an inch away from Tommy Revell's legs. He was stood at a counter with hot coffee in his hands, along with Eddie James and Joe Roberts.
So did you have coffee in hand as well?
No, thank fuck.
Okay.
Because I would have proper scolded myself.
And him probably.
Tommy Raffles' feet.
They had coffee in their hands. Guys, if I'd have literally gone an inch further, I'd have taken those three out.
Can you imagine
And
the injury report on that one? 3 players taken
Can
out
you
by a
imagine
random fan
taking
at
out
the
my Welsh
airport.
rugby fan?
yeah,
Out of the next match.
assaulted by angry fan, disappointed with the result.
Do you know what, right? Fair play to them. They turned round. They picked me up. Checked I was okay. Didn't laugh. Did not laugh. Now, if you'd have done that to me, I'd have pissed myself. And I would have taken at least 2 minutes to be able to pick you up. They're like, oh my God, is your arm okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I fell on the arm with the plate and the pins. Are you sure you're not hurt? Anything broken? Like, really lovely. Got me up. And we're like, do you want a selfie? Of course I fucking do. You just picked me up off the floor. So John came and took a selfie. They were amazing. Now, few things to take away from that is how fucking big is Eddie Jim's arms? They were massive. You've seen the selfie picture.
Yeah, yeah.
He is huge, 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 huge. Tommy Revell, also huge. Joe Roberts, also huge. But you know what? They didn't laugh. And it would have been so easy to laugh at me. At that point in time, I wanted to die. Genuinely wanted to die.
I don't know, Sam. I
And
think your ploy worked really well. I think you should try that again
I
sometime.
just, do you know what I mean? I'll give it a whirl. I'll give it a whirl. If I'd have known this when I was 25, I might be a wag by now. Um, but I was so impressed. I went to the toilet, got talking to Warren Gatland's wife, who was absolutely lovely. Fair play to her. And Warren Gatland came out of the toilet and I said, "Can I just say to you how wonderful your players are?" And he looked at me like I was a bit like mental after Saturday. And I went, "No, no, nothing to do with the rugby." I said, "I just fell over and nearly scalded them, but they picked me up off the floor, made sure I was all right, and had a selfie with me." I said, "Really good, gentlemanly young lads." I said, "They didn't even laugh at me, Warren." He went, "Which ones?" Told him. And he went, "Oh, I'll make sure they know." And I walked off. He must have thought I was nuts. But again, embarrassing, you know? But only me. I got back to the table. I was like that. Not one of you got up to check that I was okay. And they were like, "Didn't even know you fell over, your knob." Like, "Oh, thanks. I'm all right." But I got none bruises on my boobs and I got floor bruises on my knees. I looked like a battered wife. But
Think there's any
yeah,
link between Gatland's decision and that incident on Saturday, on Sunday? Any sort of
I would
correlation, do
hope
you think?
not. I would hope that there's no correlation there. But yeah, I had a selfie with Adam Jones as well. We had matching hair. By that point, I hadn't washed my hair for 2 days. It was kind of crazy. But all in all, it's a jolly good weekend. You two going to come to Dublin with me next year? Do you want to add on?
I'll start saving up now, I think.
I
Save.
got, I got lots of family out in Dublin, so free accommodation.
Right, you and Amy can just get a flight over or whatever. Come
I like
on,
the
come on,
ferry.
come
I
on to
like the ferry.
Southampton. Don't like,
Carry from
don't
Holyhead
know.
across. Yeah.
How long does it take to get from Holyhead to like
You
wherever?
got Fishguard, Rosslare in West Wales, and then you got Holyhead to Dublin.
I'm sure that's a hydrofoil, I think, isn't it? I
Yeah,
think
they can be
that's
pretty
quite quick.
quickly, but I
Yeah.
love it. You just sit in the bar and drink.
I don't like boats. I don't like flying. Not gonna lie, I don't like. Yeah, God did not intend me to fly. Yeah, I'm such a scaredy cat. Slightest noise, and I think something's fallen off the plane, and I'm gonna die.
Mhm.
And then I'm not good with boats either, which always amazes me the amount of seafarers and like Navy and merchant seamen in my family. And I got no sea legs at all whatsoever, nothing. But that kind of brings us to a close this week. Bit of a roller coaster week for us, really, isn't it?
That's a bit, isn't it? Yeah. But it's good we can focus back on normal rugby, shall we say, this weekend.
Ospreys.
And you know what? It's such a mental weekend because we got URC back, so there's 8 rounds of URC matches, Premiership back as well.
Yeah.
Super Rugby Pacifica starts on Friday. The Super League Rugby League starts on Thursday
Love
night as
rugby
well.
league.
It's an absolute, you could literally watch rugby 24/7 over this weekend. It's absolutely nuts.
I met an ex-rugby league player on Friday night. Um, they were out in Rome, not for the rugby. They were out for someone's big birthday, and he was talking about rugby league, and he was surprised by myself and my brother being rugby league fans. Um, and my my brother's a St Helens fan, and this fella was from Wigan, and they don't get on.
No.
But it was really interesting to have a chat with him about rugby league because he was like, not many people down in South Wales talk about rugby league, and then we were talking about the exiles that went from rugby union in the 80s and then ultimately came back. But it's amazing who you can just bump into and start talking to whilst you're away. Um,
And you,
because
and you don't have to throw yourself at everybody's feet either.
No. And as John says, I'm not the friendliest person ever, but I've got that type of face that people talk to me, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not that person. But I'm getting more sociable as I'm getting older. I'm a very introverted extrovert on the quiet, like. But Rod will put our banner up with all our socials on the bottom. Please like, subscribe, share, give us a 5-star review. You'll have a, do you know what? I'll send you a birthday card and a Christmas card if you give us a 5-star review. And not crap 39 pence cards from Card Factory either. I'll send proper cards.
She might sellotape a pound coin in there as well.
Oh, if you're lucky. Or I'll do like that jokey thing like you did in the 80s, sell tip tea bag in and go, oh, have a drink on me. Might do that. Who knows? Every day is a surprise for me, let's face it.
That didn't reach my generation. That's a new one. I might resurrect that because it'll look original then amongst my peers.
Honestly, it was a thing. You used to people
Yeah,
used to like sellotape like coffee sachets or tea bags in and be like, have a drink on me, and think it was the funniest thing in the world. But I am literally showing my age now. But it was so nice on the weekend. Someone was like, you don't look 47. And I was like, thanks. It's because I'm fat and I've got natural collagen. She was just like, what? Like, I'm not lying, am I? I am fat and I have got natural collagen. But it's let's look forward to next week. Happier things to talk about. By then, we might know a little bit more about the player structure with Wales, what Sherratt's going to do, and a little bit more about the PRA. In the meantime, send us your comments, send us your questions. Chants. We haven't had any chants this week. Send us some chants. We like them.
Want to hear
Lads,
some Friday
enjoy.
Night Blood on telly?
Yeah,
Okay.
I need to chat.
Hopefully it's dry so that 90% of the stand doesn't migrate up into the rafters up there.
Yeah.
Do you know what I need to hear from you? I need to hear Cassende, give us a wave. Cassende, give us a wave, or something, easier to wrap your tongue around, maybe.
Yeah. I'll go back and listen to Mark's suggestions from a couple of weeks ago.
Do it. Do it.
Keith from Neath. Go for that one.
Yes.
Do it. Well, enjoy on Friday, lads. I'm sure we'll catch up in the meantime, but have an amazing week, both of you. I am really gutted I'm not there on Friday, but I will do these stupid things like book things a year and a bit in advance. But as always, guys, have a good week. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and we will see you next week. Ciao bella.
Ciao, pal.